Hello, welcome to the discussion session of All India Free Mock Test of Merit Shine. Today's agenda is to discuss the English language section. Now, though the broad agenda is to discuss the English language section as it had come in this particular mock, but in the process, we are also going to learn some very important things. And let's first see what are those things. Those things are, first, how do we approach the English language section, right? Second, when we have decided on an approach of doing the questions, then why are we doing so? What are the advantages of approaching the section in that particular way, right? We'll understand it. So I'll not only show you the way of approaching the section, I'll also discuss with you the advantages of, or rather show it to you the advantages of doing this particular section in a particular organized way. And third, in this particular mock, what you could have scored, right? And why is the last one very important? Simple. As you might have seen that in the second point, I have mentioned that what are the advantages more so if the test is tricky. Now what do we mean by tricky? A lot of people say that the test is difficult in nature. But as we have been telling you, as Abhishek sir told you yesterday, and I would also be telling you today, that the test was not difficult per se, but it was tricky, right? So scoring in this particular test required more than your knowledge. Knowledge was necessary, but your ability to take tests in the right way was also as much necessary as knowledge to do good in this particular paper, right? So what is the difference between tricky and difficult? Difficulty is when the questions are out of scope. We do not know about those questions. Those are questions which are out of the syllabus of what comes normally in the exam. No. Is it difficult in that sense? Was this test difficult in that sense? No. All of the questions were questions which we have seen. Those types of questions we have seen. But they were arranged in such a manner that if you pick up the wrong question first, then you are going to create a very problematic situation for you, because then you might end up in a scenario that those questions which you could have done very easily are left for the end, and therefore you do not get as much time to do them, and those questions which you were not very comfortable doing, you picked them up at the start and thereby ended up with not the optimum score that you could have got in that particular test, right? And that's where the trickiness comes, right? And that is something that we would see, that organizing our paper in a way where we are thinking how to attempt the questions is how important in our paper, especially if the paper is challenging as it was this time, right? Okay, so let's dive in first to see the technique of approaching this section. Now, let's see the strategy. What is strategy? Strategy is nothing but prioritizing the order of the question, the order in which you will attempt it. Okay, right? So that's what strategy is. Now, my dear friends, here, if you had gone through the paper once, when you got the paper, the first 1 minute, if you invest in going through the paper and identifying the type of question that you got in that particular set. Now, type of question does not mean that you need to read the question. No, you just glance through the paper to see what kinds of questions have come. For example, if you had glanced through the paper, you would have known that RC was the first set of 7 questions. Then there was error correction, which was 8 to 11. next 4 questions. Then there was parajumble, question number 12 to 16, 5 questions. And then there was fill in the blanks, which is question number 17 to 20, 4 questions. And then there was vocabulary usage question, both word replacement as well as word usage, and there were 5 questions of them, question number 21 to 25. And error correction questions and sentence synthesis question, question number 26 to 30. So if you have made a skeleton of the paper before you had started solving the first question, now then, my dear friends, you would have got this skeleton. And how much time would it have taken, or how much time should this take? 1 minute to 1 minute 30 seconds at the max. With practice, you would be able to do this in 1 minute flat. Okay, right. Now that you know the skeleton of the paper, how the paper looks like, what are the types of questions that you have, what is the next step? The next step is prioritizing the way in which you are going to attempt these questions. Right? Now, how do we prioritize? See, basically in prelims, as it is a 20 minutes test, so here the number of attempts or your speed matters a lot. Hence, we would, in the case of English language section, we would take speed as the basis of our deciding which questions to do first and which questions to do later on. But that does not mean that we will not look at accuracy at all. You have taken at least 8 to 10 marks by now, and you know that how much time normally you take for a particular question of this nature and what is your accuracy in that. Objective data in your mind. Okay, not your feeling. Because every time your feeling would not be reflecting the objectivity of your scores. Right? Now, so the one in which you have more speed and then obviously accuracy. So for example, you have same level of accuracy, then the one where you have more speed would be taken first, and the one where you have less speed would be taken next. Okay? So this is the basis on which you would classify the questions. And it's not rocket science. Let me show you. For example, here what should have been a good attempt order. The first category attempt should have been the error correction question. Why? Because the nature of the error correction question where there were 3 to 4 bold words in a sentence and you'll have to replace it with the given options. Right? So the amount of reading and the understanding that you needed to do for these questions were lesser, and therefore the speed would be higher in these kinds of questions. And if you have done your practice of grammar, I am sure that you would find these questions easy too. So question number 8 to 11 should go in your first priority. And also the fill in the blanks, question number 17 to 20. Because fill in the blanks by nature takes less time. Right? Now, therefore your first category should have been 8 to 11 and 17 to 20. Now inside the first category, where that is the first priority, you can do the 17 to 20 first and then 8 to 11. That does not matter. Okay? Now, the next category should have been what? RC. Because there is a group of 7 questions in there. So 7 questions together you would be able to do if you do RC. Right? So second category, RC. Next, third category should have been the vocab usage and the error correction, the grammar usage. Right? Error correction, sentence synthesis. So these two should have been the next category. Again, here it does not matter which you want to do first. You can do this first, you can do that first. Doesn't matter. Okay? And at the end, because the parajumbles were without options, you should have kept it for the end. Now please understand, I am seeing that a lot of people are assuming that because in parajumbles they do not get correct normally, they have already decided that boss, I am not going to do parajumbles. This is something that I am noticing. But my dear friends, what if in that particular exam the parajumble is easy and the vocab is difficult? What would happen? What would happen? This would happen that you would miss the opportunity to score marks because you have already reduced your denominator from 30 to 25. Because you have already decided the parajumble is not my cup of tea, I'm not going to do that. Right? Okay. So, such kind of assumption in your mind is something that you should avoid at every cost. Okay. Right? So, don't assume. I have kept parajumble at the end. That does not mean that that is to be left. That means that in the order of the questions, because the probability of scoring or maybe attempting the questions faster is higher for the other ones, therefore I have kept parajumble at the end. But that never means that I am not going to do the parajumble. As a matter of fact, this was one of those papers where, why most of the people found this paper difficult. One of the reasons why, is that normally in a paper, the questions which you get difficult, they were not as much difficult. And the questions which were easy in normal papers, in normal mocks, I'm not saying papers means IBPS papers or SBI papers, no. In mocks, normally which you get easy, they were a little more challenging, right? Now, whenever this change happened, this paper checked you on whether you are ready to handle that change. Because this change is not specific to this paper. This change can happen any day with any paper that you are going to sit for. It is not necessary that the question paper setter is going to set a paper according to your expectation. Is it necessary? No. Right. So, you should always be ready for any kind of surprise. As a matter of fact, you should be ready to this level that it becomes a surprise for others but not for you. Right? Because you should know how to approach any kind of paper, and that's what we did just now. I told you how to approach this paper. Now you know the order in which we are going to attempt. Now what is the next step? See, the first step was the order in which we should be attempting so that our scores are maximized. What is the second step? The second step is to make your mind level-headed so that when you are solving the questions, you do not take undue time in a particular question. That means that whenever you are solving a question and let's say that after a stipulated time you are not able to find out the answer, you should be strong enough mentally to leave that question. The second mistake that most people did in this particular mock is that they did not leave questions. They thought that I invested 45 seconds in this particular question. If I leave it now, that time would be wasted. And then they invested another 45 seconds to that question and ended up wrong with that particular question. Because that particular question had to be left. So within the first 30-40 seconds, if you had left that question, you would have saved 0.25 negative and 1 minute of time. But you could not make yourself leave that question. You got emotionally involved with the question. Right? Don't do that. Because a lot of people would do that and mess up their paper. Our purpose of giving you a paper which was little different was that to give you an idea what are the mistakes that normally people commit when they get a different kind of paper. Right? Now that you are aware about the mistakes that you are committing, now you have it in your hand to stop that from happening in the next paper, if in the next paper such a different paper happens. Right? Okay? Got it? And whatever is the kind of paper, your order setting, priority setting of the question, which to do first and which to do later is always important. After going through the paper, if you feel that it is in the order of number that you should be going, okay, you go by that. But you need to go through the paper, have a skeleton in your mind and decide that these are the questions I'm going to do first and then the next and then the next. So that you are moving in a way to maximize your score only. Take it? Okay? Sure. So now that we have an idea about how do we approach the paper, let's move on to the next step, and that is discussing the paper. You would see that I would do the questions category wise. Okay? These wise. So first I will take this category, then this, then this, then this. Right? Okay? Next. The first question is question number 8. Now, what was this question? Tell me. You'll had to just see that whether you need to replace it or not. What is it written? Paranoia never stopped haunting Brazilian politics. Now with Jair Bolsonaro in charge, it's as powerful as ever and its practitioners has learned. Now practitioners is plural, my dear friend. So therefore this verb should also be plural. Has learned is wrong. This is wrong. Now in here it is said had learned. Okay. Now it is, the whole sentence is in present. So had learned is something that does not go with this particular blank. Didn't learn, again the same reason, past. Have learned, makes sense. Practitioners plural, present tense, present perfect, okay, and plural verb, right? So therefore your answer should be D. Now, so that you know that what should be a proper time to do these kind of questions, I have also noted down the time for each one of these questions that you should have taken ideally. A 5-10 seconds here and there would do, but on an average, in every type of question I have given the time. For example, this question could very easily have been done within 30 seconds. If you have taken more than 30 seconds, that means that you are giving undue time for this particular question. Okay? Okay? Sure. Let's see. We will see how much you were capable in this particular mock. Was it what you got or was it something more than that? Next question. Collective sense of closure we are all longing for may never arrive. Instead, brace for a long fade. First of all, this is an idiomatic usage which is wrong, because brace for a long fade, there is nothing called brace for a long fade. Brace for a slow fade is something of an idiomatic usage that happens, right? So if you know that, you can mark it and move ahead. If you don't know that, and also if you are confused between two, for example, chain for a long haul is irrelevant, go for a steady decrease, irrelevant. But some people were confused with brace for a long haul. Now please understand, my dear friends, what is it being said here? The collective sense of closure. So we are talking about closing something we are longing for may never arrive. That collective sense of closing at one time, that may never arrive. Instead, what would happen? There would be something in a slow motion towards a new normal. So that collective immediate closure may never arrive. So there should be a slow movement towards a new normal. That's what this part is trying to say. And for that, between A and C, A fits better than C, right? Why? Because brace for a long haul means that you will have to wait for a long time and then get a new normal. But then long haul into would be wrong usage. Long haul into a new normal is a wrong usage, right? So therefore, both ways, contextually and grammatically, you could have eliminated this, okay, and have answered A. Tick. Again, whether you got it correct or wrong, you should have done it within 30 seconds. And now that I have explained it to you, don't you think that you could have done it correctly? Right? Okay. So, now let's move on to the question number 10. The 70-year-old inherited the company battered. Now, whether it would be inherited or not, we don't know. We'll have to move ahead and see. Prima facie, this looks correct. By COVID-19, which he will have to attempt to resuscitate despite a shrinking and aging population. Now, from the second part, we are now having an idea that if the second part is in future, this part cannot be in past, right? If you remember our grammar lectures on YouTube, in the tense lecture, we had talked about it. So if the second part which is going to come is in future, then this first part which is talking about an event has to be in what? It cannot be in past, it has to be in present, right? So now that we have already identified that it would be in present, now we'll look at 71-year-old is singular or plural? Singular. So this is eliminated because this is in past. Inherit eliminated because it is plural. Inherit eliminated because it is plural. Inherits an economy battered by COVID-19. Perfect. D is the answer. How logical it was. It was very logical. This is the way we have learned grammar. When I had done that grammar playlist with you, this is the way I had asked you to think about grammar, because grammar is very logical, right? So that was the answer for question number 10. Now, question number 11. Most museums around the world already offer the opportunity to purchase tickets online or through a kiosk. And that's something that will change. So they are saying already offer. Okay, so they are already offering you to buy tickets online. So, and that is something that will change, does not go with it, na? Because if it is to be changed, already is something that shouldn't have come in here. And we know now the context of the sentence also. The context of the sentence is that online is happening, the ticket selling is already happening online, and that's not going to change in near future, right? That's what the context of the sentence is, isn't it? Now, if that is the context, then not something that will change fits with the context. Not anything that's going to change. No, it is, this not anything part does not go grammatically in this part of the sentence. Not something is okay, but not anything. What is anything? Anything is indefinite. Something here refers to what we are already talking about, purchasing tickets online. So this is eliminated. Nothing that will not change. Again, the meaning changes in this. So this is eliminated. One thing that will change, eliminated. So the only one that can be answered in this case is A. Right? So if you are doing your regular reading, which is very important for English, please understand, my dear friends, English has moved on from rules and theories and concepts to ability to understand written word. Your critical thinking skills, your ability to use logic, even in grammar questions you must have seen that. Over the last 3-4 years, say till 2014-15, the English questions were very straightforward. But if ask anyone, even if you had taken the papers in the previous years, you must have seen the increase is in the level of the logical orientation of the paper. And that has happened in English too, right? Okay, so this is your question number 11. Now, you are done with 4 questions, 30 seconds for each question, on an average 2 minutes. Okay, next question. The fill in the blanks. Now, these were the 2 categories now, which was there in our first priority. So, we have done one and we'll do the second. From the moral point of view, the punitive institutions such as prison, by and large, is blank as a space that people should never enter. Now, if it is and therefore it has to be something, a verb which has to be either considered, considering cannot come because it does not go with. Is considering comes when we are using it in the active tense. Okay, I am considering, he is considering, but here it is used in the passive tense, such as prison by and large is considered as a space, right? So is considered is something that should come. So A can come, C can come. Now we'll read the next one. Thus, to enter this space is considered by many as morally scary and blank. Now, inviting seems to be an odd fit. because it is just the opposite of scary. We should have such a word which is parallel to scary. So you have dreaded, right? You have dreaded. Now, how much time should you have taken in this question? You would have to read a lot, you might say, but 40 seconds would have been enough, na? 40 seconds still would have been enough. Don't you think so? Huh? Right? Next. Question number 18. Ironically, for this piece of work on the history of Indian Railways, the Indian Railway Fan Club Association seems to be the blank reference resource almost 10% of the total 139 references, which is a blank and a vested opportunity. Now we'll have to go to the options. Always go to the options in these kind of cases. Seems to be the good reference, major reference resource, good reference resource, minor reference resource, massive reference resource. Massive does not really go on with the reference resource, so we'll eliminate it. Now, these three can go. So let's move on to the next blank, which is a pity. Now, I know that here I need a noun, right? So, pity is noun, admirable is not a noun, pitiful is not a noun. It can only have been pity and major. Right? Okay. So this is the answer here. A. Okay. Right? So you have another 40 seconds and 3 minutes 20 seconds. You are done with question number 18. Now, question number 19. It's an issue that can be very personalized and blank, because there are a set of drugs that are blank expensive and they affect people where you can emotionally can identify. Now this was a question which was a little medium difficulty level, right? And that's why I saw that a lot of people were confused in it also. So let's look at the options and see. See, emotional, very personalized and emotional, very emotional, customized, personalized and generic does not go. Opposites, very peripatetic does not go. Peripatetic means, when you walk on foot or food related. So D and E are eliminated. Now you have, according to the first blank, 3 options remaining. Because there are a set of drugs that are blank expensive, right? Incredible cannot come because you'll have to have an adverb. Incredibly expensive, hardly expensive. Now we are stuck up with these two, right? Some of you mark B, some of you mark C. But how do we decide between the two? Simple. In the last part of the sentence, you can see that they affect people where you emotionally can identify. So if you see, the contextual significance relates to the emotional impact that is happening. So therefore, rather than customized, which is nothing but another synonym for personalized, we would prefer very emotional. Got it? Right? So we would prefer very emotional because then it would be able to explain what has been stated in here, and hence your answer is B. Clear? Right? Again, either you are stuck between these two, or you have eliminated A, D, E, and you are stuck between these two, or you are clear about the stuff through this analysis. Whatever it is, either you would mark it and mark it correct, or if you are stuck between the two, you will leave it. Both the action, whether leaving or marking, can be done within 40 seconds. Yes or no? Right? Reading the sentence again and again is not going to help you. Because if you have eliminated ADE and have not found out the right basis on which you are able to eliminate C and mark B, or vice versa, whichever it is, then you will not be able to do that even if you give extra time. Got my point? Right? So this is the step where you leave questions if you are confused. I told you how you could have arrived to a solution, but at that point of time, if it did not strike you, don't mark it just because you have given 40 seconds. I'm not saying don't read it twice. No, you can read a sentence twice, not in RC, but while doing questions like this. But don't read it again and again and again, and that's what many of you do when you are, not able to decide between two options. Okay? Right? So that's something that you should remember. Now, question number 20. The government has committed to defending us and our allies against foreign enemies. Yet when it comes to the single biggest blank threat we collectively face, intermittent does not make sense. Potential threat, single biggest potential threat, okay, I'll keep it. Existing threat does not make sense. Rising threat, keep it. Existential threat, we'll keep it. Okay, so BDE are kept. The one that threatens to make much of the planet inhabitable, starve millions and incite violent conflicts. See, if you look at the later part of the sentence, you are seeing that all of these problems are big problems, creating a question mark on our existence. Right? So, at this stage only I am a little biased towards this, but I'll go through the second blank. It has blank to do near nothing. It has choosing, wrong grammar. It has decided and it has chosen. Now between these two, both can come, right? But between rising and existential, the context favors existential. And hence the answer is E. Right? No doubt. Just like the last question, in this question also, if you had faced a problem, you would have faced problem in this stage. D karu ya E karu? What to mark? Now my dear friends, honestly tell me, did you not reach this stage in just 30 to 45 seconds? When you were not able to decide at this stage, if you had read the first and the second time the sentence very sincerely, then within 30 to 45 seconds you have reached it. Now then if you are reading it again and again, then that's a waste of time. That's a waste of time inside the paper. Then you should leave this question and move ahead. Got it? Right? 40 seconds. 40 seconds is the average time. And therefore, now you are at 4 minutes, 40 seconds, 8 questions you have gone through. Right? Some of you might have got confused in question number 19. Some of you might have got confused in question number 20. So therefore, whoever had got confused in whichever question in 19 and 20, leave it. Left it. You should have left it. Okay. And in the rest of the question, the other 6 questions you saw that those were questions which could have been done if you had applied your concepts as well as your logic together. They were not out of the way difficult. Even question number 19-20 were not out of the way difficult, but yes, it was, the difficulty level was there. You would have to go beyond the question and delve into the context to answer the question. Right? Okay. So, luckily some would get question number 19, some would not get question number 20 and vice versa, that would happen. But whatever is the case, you are into 4 minutes 40 seconds of your paper and you could have done 6 questions correctly out of these 8 questions. I'm not saying do all the questions correct. But even if you had left the last 2 questions, then also 6 questions. Right? Okay. So 6 questions is something that you could have done in this now. Next, question number 1 to 7, the reading comprehension. In reading comprehension, what do I say? First, read the roots of the questions. So what are the roots of the question? These are the roots of the question. Why did the author share the entries of cancelled direct debit and gave away coat hangers? So these are within inverted commas. That means these are reference points from the passage. So cancelling debit card and coat hangers on free cycle, we will have to make a mental note of this, and when we are going through the passage, we will identify these to be important area. Smug, Cutodian, synonym of smug and Cutodian. These are 2 words that we should remember. What can be one of the reasons why author does not like making to-do list? We know from this question that author does not like making to-do list. Now we'll have to see what is to-do list and why author does not like. Next, So how much time you should have taken to go through these 4 questions? Only the root. This is called the root of the question. Only the root. 20 seconds at the max, right? Next. The cumulative time is also getting added side by side. What would be the most likely reaction from the author if a to done list of the day is bulky? So there is something called to done list which author makes, and if it is bulky, what would happen? According to the author, the to done list can do all of these except. Now this is a question without a reference point. Why? Because yes, there is a reference point here, but then you'll have to go through a substantial part of the paragraph to know what it can do, to done list can do, and what it cannot do. So what it can do has to be eliminated, and the remaining one would be the what it cannot do. What can be a possible title for the passage? Now this is without reference point, inference based question. From the overall understanding we would get it. Okay. Now this slide would have taken 20, these 3 questions would have taken another 20 seconds. So we have read the questions and now we are at 5 minutes 20 seconds. Now we'll read the passage. I'll read the passage and show you what you could have done. See whether you had done them or not. I have never been great at to-do list. I know from the first line only that the author is not a fan of to-do list. To me, they are an exercise in torture. Oh, it's extreme in nature. Writing a list of all the things I'll inevitably not get done. A document of imminent failure. Something which would result in failure. In a game show host voice, here is what you could have done. So, in here, this particular paragraph is important because I know that there is a question that says why author does not like to-do list. So that answer might be in this particular paragraph. So we'll make a mental note of para 1. Next. However, for many people, ticking items off a to-do list is the definition of quotidian pleasure. Mini mood boosts, micro injection of achievement. Quotidian, we know, had been asked as a meaning. It could be argued that getting smaller tasks done supplies motivation for the more expansive changes one needs to make in life. It could be argued. Though sometimes this is wishful thinking. So people do argue it. So author from their standpoint says that yes, it can be argued, but it's wishful thinking to one extent. Remember buying a stationery set before the new school year, despite already owning all the items as though new pencils would bring. Augur means bring a change in attitude from class clown to diligent student. So, author first mentions that what the proponent of to-do lists says. Proponent of to-do list says that this would help us to make larger changes in life from this small improvement. But author does not believe it, and for that she gives her reason as well as the example. So, second para is done. So that was second para. Third para. I sigh at chores and errands. I hide from returning emails. I am not superb basically at life's admin. But I have developed a trick, to done list. Or at least that is what I am calling them, ungrammatical as it is. Now comes the next hero, to done list. Author's to done list. It is the art of writing down all the things I have done. I get the same boost others do when completing something today on their to-do list. It's just that in adding something to a blank page, I am not reminded of all the things I have yet to do, uncrossed out. So what does the author do? The author writes the things that she has already done. And that boosts her confidence in return because she does not have to write down those things that she needs to do. Right? So that's the fourth paragraph. Next. In a move that perhaps taking it a little bit too far, the author herself agrees that I might be taking it a bit too far. And what is that? I have begun to keep my to-do list in a giant Google Doc. A cumulative record of what, if anything, I managed to accomplish that day. So even if I had been able to do small to small things, I record it. No contribution is too small. Just, I told it and then she explains it here. To give you a glimpse into the glamorous life I lead, previous entries have included such Gatsbyesque pleasures as cancelled debit card. This was there in the question. And the personal favorite, gave away coat hangers on free cycle. Now, from this I know for sure that this glamorous life has been used satirically, right? Okay, so the author wants to show that she has a very normal and a very mundane life, but that and she does very mundane things, but those also she lists in the in her Google Doc. But in general, these lists mean I can keep tabs on when my productivity is spiraling and feel smug when looking back at an efficient week. Now, because author is writing whatever she has done, then when she looks back, she would see that she has done a lot of things. So what she has not done would not be there. So she would feel good about it, right? If the list is bulky, I end the day more settled, and I suppose it's an act of that overused and sometimes squeezy term, self-care. If the list is bulky, this was there in the question, I end the day more settled. So the author is happy. It's a way of feeling proud at oneself in bite size, right? Or gulps. If I have done some okay type of things, I feel proud bite size. And if I have done something extraordinary, I will feel proud, in gulp size, huge size. If the list includes such things like gave birth to twins or finished the definitive novel of her era. So if she does something very big such as these, then her pride would know no bounds. That's what she is saying. Right? So if you are in the market for a way to de-stress, to enjoy the little wins, I suggest the to done list. This weekend's column, done. I'll be adding it to the list. So the author is suggesting the reader to go for to done list, right? Rather than for going to do list, to done list, because you will feel more confident about it. Now, this is the passage. How much time should you have? And you know that this is the important area. Question has come. This is the important area. The two words are here and here, right? Okay, so this para is important, this para is important, first para is important, fifth para is important, these two words are important, and this para is important because list is bulky. I know from where my answers are. Now we will go on to the question. Now how much time you should have taken to do this activity? Not more than 2 minutes, because this was a 440 or 50 word passage which surely could have been read within 2 minutes, including doing this activity of making a mind map. What did I do? I summarized every paragraph for you so that you have an idea about how the paragraph looks as a whole. Right? So with that, you should have taken 2 minutes. Now, the questions. Let's jump into the question. Why did the author share the details? This should be shared. Share the entries such as cancelled direct debit card and gave away coat hangers in her Google Doc. Right. I know this has been from here. I do not need to go back. First, I'll go through the options. To show that her life is filled with glamour. No, that was a sarcasm. To show how very mundane things she lists in her to-done list. Yes, this can be. To show how much a big fan of Great Gatsby she is. No, that was not the main purpose. To clarify that to have a good to be done, to have a good to done list, the person has to go to a bit far. We cannot infer this. She is going too far, but that's not necessary. At least we cannot infer it from the passage. To show how proud she feels when she sees the important things to be done. Now, to be done is wrong because it is too done, already done, right? So this is eliminated. So this is the only one. See, you do not even need to go back to the para. Only going through the options, you would be able to eliminate all the options and come out with your answer. But if you want to go back to the para, go back to here, read it again, and you can answer it. Okay, right? I'll put the time at the end of all the questions. Next. What is the synonym of the word smug as used in this passage? Now, see here, smug has been used how? It says, where is the smug word? In the less bulky, overwise, self-care, it was here. Yes. No contribution is too small, and I feel smug when looking back at an efficient week. Now, what in general these lists mean I can keep tabs on my productivity spiraling and feel smug. I feel good. So in here, if I see apprehensive does not make sense. Humble does not make sense. It has to be a positive word. Vainglorious Okay, vainglorious is something, you boast of it. But this is to be a too extreme a term. If there is nothing else, I'll go with it. But confident seems to be right fitting. Confident seems to be the positive word that I need out there rather than vainglorious, which has a negative connotation with it. Right? So this is your answer in this case. C. So this is from the context. Just go back here if you need and you can answer this question. Next. Which of the following options can replace Quotidian as used in the passage? Now, if you know the new meaning of this, it means, something which happens daily, right? So, something which happens daily or normally, exciting, no, unusual, no, usual, maybe, important, no. So, on the given option, only usual comes close to normal or daily. So, therefore, C should be the answer. Again, you want to go back to the passage and read here and understand the meaning from here and answer it, you can do so. For example, however, for many people, ticking items of a to-do list is the definition of quotidian pleasure, mini mood boost. So it has to be something positive, right? It cannot be unusual in the sense, normal pleasure kind of stuff is what has been given in there. Important would not fit in there because we are saying mini mood boost. If it had been a huge thing, here we would not have used mini mood boost. So whatever word it would be in, it would be parallel to whatever strength of meaning is there for the other adjectives. Right? And from that we can arrive to this answer if you do not know the meaning of quotidian. Okay? Next, question number 4. What can be one of the reasons why author does not like making to-do list? She is lethargic. And what can be one of the reasons? So I'll go through the options first. She is lethargic and it's a lot of work. Well, she is lethargic might be because she has said as much in here. But it's a lot of work, to-do list. I'll keep it. If I don't get a better one, might go for with it. She fears it would result in the task not happening. Now, remember this part of the paragraph. I will inevitably not get done. A document of imminent failure. Now, if you see this, I'll have to infer through my own assumption. But to infer this, my dear friends, I do not need to assume anything. It is as much given by the author here. So, between A and B is better? Yes or no? Between A and B is better. She doesn't feel the need of it as she is sure of success. Now this is irrelevant. She is the fan of to-done list as that's more important. Now, this might have been one of the options where you could have got confused between B and D. Because she is a fan of to-done list, we know that. That's true. But what is the question, my dear friend? The question here is, what can be one of the reasons why author does not like making to-do list? Because author does not like making to-do list, therefore she has made her own to-done list and she has become a fan of it. So this is the cause and this is the effect. But the question asks, what is the cause of this? This option D is the effect of this. Whereas option B is the cause of this. Getting my point? Right. So though this is true according to the passage, between B and D, B is better because the question that has been asked is cause of not liking to-do list. Getting the point? Right? Now, she thinks it's useful but only when not done. Now this is again outside the scope. So only B can come. Yes, it was again out of the first 4 questions we saw, this was the question which might have confused you a little. The rest were having answers direct in the sense that answers were there for you to find out. But here you might have got confused between B and D. And if it is so, again, you should have taken that 40-45 seconds to arrive to that confusion. To that confusion, you could have arrived within 40 to 50 seconds. Then leave it. If you're not able to solve that confusion, leave it. Right? Okay. Next, question number 5. What would be the most likely reaction from the author if a to-done list of the day is bulky? She will feel happy We know that from here, if the list is bulky, I'll end more settled. Now go through the option. Feel tired? No. Despondent? No. Demotivated? No. Elated? Happy? Underrated? No. Only one thing which is positive in there. So they have 15 seconds you should have taken to do this question. Right? And so such a simple question, isn't it? According to the author, the to done list can do all of these except. Now we'll go through the option rather than going back to the passage. Help de-stress, yes, the author says it here in the last para. Help feel confident, yes, that is also something that has been mentioned. Positive thing would happen from to done. Give the same boost as to-do list, yes, according to the author, that's what the author says. Makes you panic about what to do. This is negative. Does to done list make you panic? No, the author would never say that, because author is all gung-ho about to done list. Author is all happy about to done list. So why would she say something negative like that? And she hasn't said anything negative about that. So D is the answer. Again, a question that could have been answered just going through the options and eliminating the options. My dear friends, please understand, in a competitive paper, if you are not using the options as a weapon to answer the question, you are making a mistake. Options are as much a part of the question as the question itself. Right? So go by elimination, time taken would be less as well, and your accuracy would also be high. Next, the last question of the passage. What can be a possible title for the passage? Let's go through the passage. Uses of the to-do list. What to-do list? Is she talking about to-do list usage? Yes, only in the second para a little. To-done list, the worthy successor of to-do list. Now, for worthy successor, a lot of you have marked this. But people, what is the problem with this? Think about it. For saying that it is the worthy successor of to-do list, the author have to agree that the to-do list is a good thing. Or to-do list is very, effective. But has the author done so? No. So how can we say that the author would agree that to-done list is a worthy successor of to-do list? As a matter of fact, author says that to-done list is better than to-do list. Right? So therefore, those who have marked B, now you understand why B cannot be the answer. Next. Forget to-do list. Use to-done list instead. Now this seems to be exactly what the author is saying at the end of the paragraph also. So in the paragraph, the author's direction of argument flowed towards the benefits of to-done list and the shortcomings of to-do list, and then at the end concluding that to-done list is the way to go. So C fits that bill of main idea. See, title is a lot of times what the main idea is. Right? So between A, B and C is much better. Let's see the D and E. How to make to-done list? No, that detail has not been given much, but yes, that has been said. But it's not only how to make to-done list. Now she has compared to-do and to-done list too. Right? Okay, so that is missing in this. The science behind the art of life management too general. So the answer should be C. See, again elimination. But this elimination could have happened within 30 seconds, na? And after the elimination, you would have most probably arrived to this answer. Now, 7 questions of the passage. For questions, 3 minutes 40 seconds. For the vocab questions and the title wala question, total time, vocab question 2 and this, around 1 minute 10 seconds. And for the other questions, around 2 minutes 30 seconds, more than enough. For the other 4 questions, 2 minutes 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes 30, 3 minutes 40 seconds, more than enough. Right? So that is how you could have done it. But yes, you cannot waste time in here by reading again and again. No, that is something that you will have to stop yourself from doing, especially in a competitive exam like the one that you are taking. Right? Now, 8 questions had been done earlier. 7 questions of passage. We are done with 15 questions. Should we not have, in that 6 questions, and in this, out of 7, 5 questions could have been done correctly? Yes or no? 5 questions could have been done correctly if we had done things carefully. right? So 6 plus 5, 11 out of 15 is a score. 11 correct. I'm not talking about the wrong ones. 11 correct out of 15 could have been done. Ciao. Question number now 21 to 25. This was a question which most of you have done correctly. And I think this was one of those questions where most of you agreed that what would be the answer. So most overall lineup does not fit. Most colorful lineup fits. So overall fitness fits. So 1, 4 should be replaced. 1, 4 is here and here. Now let's see 2, 3. And it's better with powerful technology and is packed with powerful technology. It should be packed with powerful technology and they can better understand. Right. So D should be the answer. A question which shouldn't have taken you more than 40 seconds. What do you say? Should it have? Not more than 40 seconds. 11 minutes 40 seconds. You are at the 22. Breast milk is healthiest and most easily digested food for a baby. Its pH, protein and sugar content are ideal for an infant's immature digestive tract. Seems fine. Manufacturers of infant formula have invested fortunes in attempting to replicate the composition. All things are fine. So no exchange required. Question number 22, no exchange required. This is also a question where most of you did it correctly. Now question number 23. This was a question where you would have to see the usage of the word where it is correct or where it is wrong. So let's see where it is correct. The ancient priest who drew it must have placed it there for a definite purpose, for a particular purpose. So definite can be used for particular. Yes, correct. Don't put me in the hole, said Moxie, now using the definite article. In the hole. The here definite means this, the definite. To live for others as a definite self-conscious aim. Definite has been used as an adjective. Definite, particular self-conscious aim was not his creed. Okay, might come in here. Mars became definite on the horizon. Definite? How can a planet become definite on a horizon? It has to be distinct or clear. Now, definite cannot be used in this case. So even if you had problem with C, now you are clear that D in D definite cannot happen. So you eliminate C and mark D. 30 seconds. See, go through the question sentences and going through would take you hardly 30 seconds. Right. And if you are confused between the C and the D option, then mark 1. Do not mark 1. Right. So that means do not mark any. But I think you could have avoided that confusion here. Next. Question number 24. That consequence may be corrected in this phase of our being. And, or it may be correct. So that consequence means that result. The consequence of all these. Perfect. Were she to yield to evil, she would suffer eternal remorse in consequence. In consequence means as a result. That's also a correct usage of inconsequence. Growth is of no consequence. Here consequence has been used as growth is of no use. This is another use of consequence. We see it being used in newspaper a lot. This is of no consequence if we cannot implement. This policy is of no consequence if we cannot implement. Right. So here all are correct. Okay? Again, a 30-second questions could have been done. And you are at now 13 minutes 20 seconds. Next, made. Has he then made you believe that he would do good? Yes, made you believe can come. The commencement of a law and parliamentary library has been made. Now here, this is an odd usage, yes. So if you are not sure about it, keep it and read the other ones. But this is a right usage. But still, read the other ones. The purpose of his going thus far with them made itself evident. Yes, made itself evident, making something clear. After the captain left him, he struggled hard to unloose the cords which made him. Cords cannot made him, cords can tie him or bind him, but cannot made him. So now between B and D is clear that D is the problematic one. So even if you are not sure about whether B usage can be done or not, you are sure about the D usage cannot be done. Therefore, you can mark D. So this is the way you should approach. Eliminate. Okay, you are at the end, you are doubtful between the two. Then see which is more probable. Right? And here the probability was very clear. That probability does not mean guess. Here it was very clear that cords cannot make me. Cords can bind me. Right? So now we are done with 20 questions, and out of these 5 questions, my dear friends, 3 could have been done correctly, na? At least 3. So you are at 11 plus 3, 14 is something that you could have got in here. Huh? Now, question number 26 to 30. Grammatical errors. The relationship between feminism and socialism is an old one. Relationship between two things, okay, seems fine, is an old one. Whether the tense is fine or not, we will come to know later on. But the modalities are not defined on either side. Modalities plural are not defined, tense seems to be present. The issue of family, sexual relations and organizational structure. So many issues and he is only using issue. This is definitely wrong. This is definitely wrong. Here we should have issues. 3 issues are there, na? Right? Are important. Now, because there are issues, there should be issues here. Therefore, this should be are important. Now, I saw a lot of people mark this as wrong. That means they thought that this would be is important. But how come, my dear friend? 1, 2, 3 issues. So, there should be issues here, na? Right? Okay. So, D is correct. C is wrong. Got it? Right? Now, tell me. Could this, if you have gone through even the YouTube lectures of mine, wouldn't you be able to do these questions within 30 seconds? In the YouTube lectures, you would remember applying the mother rule lectures. We did questions bigger than this within 20-25 seconds. Right? So, this could have been done within 30 seconds. If you have built that capability, you are rightly prepared. Now, see question number 27. If Menopause produces a new safety paradigm, the implication will be profound. So produces here, this is the second kind of, the first kind of modal that we did in our modal verb class in grammar. If X present, then future tense would come in the effect. Right. So then implications will be profound, reaching beyond the horror of police killings toward a rethinking with a criminal justice system. Rethinking with the criminal justice system? That means I am saying that I should rethink with the criminal, making criminal justice system which is lamented by liberals as my ally. It cannot be, na? It cannot be, right? So, rethinking with is something which is wrong in here, wrong preposition. Now, a lot of people, I think, marked C in this case because they thought toward was wrong. But my dear friend, remember this, both toward and towards mean the same thing. It is just that Britishers use towards more and Americans use toward more, but both mean the same and both are dictionary words. Okay. Now, 30 seconds, either you leave it, you are doubtful, leave it, right? Don't mark it, leave it. 28. The Reserve Bank of India's discussion paper on governance in commercial bank was refreshing. Now, there is past tense, I don't know whether it is correct or not, let me see. In that, it takes an approach to governance that is ownership neutral. Okay, now here it is present. Now, which one is correct? The first one or the second one? We don't know that. We will see it later on. This shows again present. So if there is 2 present here, that has to be then means this has to be also in present. So therefore it should be A. Right? A is the error. Is refreshing. So again a 30-second question. 15 minute 20 second. You are at 28. Now these 2 questions 29 30 again these 2 questions were another 2 questions were in which majority of you got it correct, and why not, they were direct questions also. Surprisingly, the controversy surrounding diamond industry has been ignored in the Indian media. Indian business houses have been quite active in trade of diamonds. See, because there is surprisingly and there is a contradiction in here, so therefore we should join by although and even though. Both although and even though would fit in here, but not so, which is a causal relationship. So B, X and Y should be our answer. Again a question that shouldn't have taken you more than 30 seconds. Right? Next. Tannins bind with other proteins, including those in human saliva. They create a characteristic astringent mouth coating sensation in the mouth. So here I see a relation of causal relation in chronologies. First something happens, then the other thing happens. So we have a causal relationship. So because and as can come. A contradiction like but cannot come, na? So therefore X and Z can be equally used in both the cases, and A is the answer. Right? So both were very doable kind of stuff. So you are done with 25 questions of ours. And let me ask you the last 5 questions. In the last 5 questions, apart from one which I told you to leave, the others were doable and you could have got them correct. So 14 plus 4, 18 is something that you could have got. 18 out of 25. Yes or no, my friends? Right? Question number 12 to 16. The parajumble. Everyone's eyesore. Right? All of, and so many people told me, sir, the parajumble was so difficult. Let us see whether in reality it was so challenging or not. Yes, I do agree. Parajumble without options are more challenging than parajumble with options. If they are with options, we can check and find out the answers. But are they undoable? Some parajumbles are very difficult because there are no clues. But was this of that category? Let's look at it. Let us solve it together. The entire reason paleontologists make that split is because of a catastrophe. Catastrophe make that split. So we need a that split and catastrophe. So one cannot be the start. All living birds. What is the nature of this? That the 5 are related, one is not related. One is odd one out. So let's move on. All living birds have toothless beaks. But this wasn't always so. Initially, the very first bird, initially confounded 19th century naturalists because it had teeth. So this is about bird and teeth. Right? Let's see the next one. With hindsides, birds can be categorized as avian, dinosaurs and all other sorts. From Stegosaurus to Brontosaurus are non-avian dinosaurs. So here there are 2 categories in which they are divided. So this split that they are talking about might refer to this. So I'll keep this. Then the intensity of the heat pulse gave way to a prolonged. Then the intensity of the heat pulse. Heat pulse of what? The sky blotted out by soot, ash and temperature. So this obviously might be referring to the catastrophe that stuck. But in detail. Right? But in detail. So I know for sure that this 4 would follow 1. Whether immediately or not, that I do not know. For that I'll have to read further. Some of the debris thrown into the atmosphere returned to the earth. The friction turning the air into an oven and sparking forest fires as it landed all over the world. Forest fires. Right? So that means this is related, 4 and 5 related. I'll place 5 in a moment. But I know this would be also after 1 because 1 talks about that catastrophe. An asteroid more than 6 miles struck what was now the Yucatan Peninsula, triggering the 5th mass extinction. This is that catastrophe. And this should follow 1-6 mandatory pair. Right? Now between 5 and 4, which should come first? See. The intensity of the heat. Which heat are they talking about? The heat from the forest fire. So 5 should come before 4. So 1, 6, 5, 4 is there. Now between 2 and 3, which one should come? Or which one is odd one out? Definitely 2 is odd one out. Why? Because it talks about bird and teeth. Whereas the split has not been talked about anywhere apart from here. Right. the split has been talked about, and the entire reason planetologists make that split. So there has to be 3 before 1. So now you have your answer. 31654 with 2 as the odd one out. Let's say you could not understand it and you put 2 in here. Still you would know that 1654 would come from the second until the end. Still you would get 4 questions correct. I don't think you should have made 2 wrong, because 2, you are seeing that 2 is unrelated, right? So these were the question. Which one was the 4th after rearrangement? 5. Which is the second sentence after rearrangement? 1. Which of the odd one out is odd one out? 2. Which is the first sentence after rearrangement? 3. Which is the last sentence after rearrangement? 4. So basically this question could have been done within 2 minutes. And an average person, I'm not talking about a person who is good and who takes pride in his or her ability of doing English question. Even an average person who is prepared, but you'll have to be prepared enough. Prepared would have been done with this paper within 18 minutes 20 seconds. Without leaving the parajumbles, Without leaving the parajumbles, 18 minutes 20 seconds. And the first 1 minute 30 seconds went to analysis of the paper. Your time is up, your paper is also done. Right? Okay. So 30 questions done, and out of these 5, all the 5 could have been correct. Right? So on a good day, a normal candidate could have got 23 on a good day. But I am assuming that it was not a good day for you. But still 23 correct. 23 correct, 4 wrong, 22 let's say. If your day was not good, you did 27, 3-4 you left, 27 you did, you could have got 19 to 20 correct, 7 wrong, still 17 to 18. Still 17 to 18 is something that on a bad day also you could have got in this. So yes, this paper was not as easy as those papers where you can easily score 25 plus. But this paper was not as much tough that you should have scored 10 or 11 or 12. Yes or no, right? So this is something that you should understand. So look at this. What's the yardstick? What would have been a yardstick in this? 23 plus is an excellent score here. 20 to 23 is very good score. And 17 to 20 is a good score in here. And that's where we saw it also. If you had 17 to 20 in this, what was the percentile? More than 98 percentile you could have got in this mock. Say, right? Okay. So always remember, if the paper is a little challenging, then the marks would also reflect that. So you're getting stressed inside the paper and making the paper go haywire would not solve your purpose. Because if the paper is challenging, it is challenging for everyone. Right? Okay. So, and this is what I mean by tricky. So here, the way you should have approached the question was important. If you had approached the question in this way, I am sure that most of you would have landed in the score of 17 to 20, which is a good score. And those of you who are good at English would have got more than 20 plus, which would have been a very good score. So now that you have gone through the analysis, see what is your old score and what you could have scored if you had organized your mind, made a priority of the paper and left the question if they were needed to be left and done the question where they needed to be done. And comment what was your old score, what was your new score. Is there a substantial difference? Put it in the comment section. Let you see what is your capability. Because I am sure you are much more capable than your score. You're much more capable than your score. And through this analysis, I'm sure that you have seen that. So have faith in your capability, my dear friends. Don't doubt yourself. Use logic, level-headedness. for both the things, for planning the paper, organizing the paper in a right way, that is ordering the questions, and for answering the question and having that level-headedness to leave the question when it is to be left. For example, in this paper, I told you 2 to 3 questions which could have been left. Leave it. Why to waste time in there? And those questions, if you had given more time, that would be a waste of time, isn't it? Right? Okay. So this is what we get from today's lecture. So that would be all for today. Thank you very much and all the best for your paper. Go and give the best paper that can be from your side. Okay? Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.